Let's take a look at the Clam C560 thermal ice hub shelter. You can see behind me I've taken it out of the bag and I've unfolded it. The top of the shelter is black, so you orient that toward the sky, and then you want the corners on the top of the shelter and the bottom of the shelter to match up all the way around. Once you've done that, you can start popping it up. But on a day like today where it's kind of breezy out here, I did put one anchor in first. If you don't put an anchor in, you might set up your shelter and then have a gust of wind go take it away on you, and you'll be chasing a tumbling shelter across the lake. So it's a good idea before you pop it up all the way to put an anchor line in. What I've done here is just taken a cordless drill with a 1/4 inch bit, and I drilled a pilot hole into the ice, and then I just spun it in by hand. You can also get an attachment. Otter and Clam and Eskimo all have adapters for drills where you can put this spike right into that adapter and drill it right in. I find it's just as easy to just drill a 1/4 inch pilot hole and put it in by hand. Okay, here's the hub all set up. There's 2 doors on this hub, one on each side. We've got nice heavy insulated fabric, heavy duty zippers, and there's a storm flap over the top of the zipper so it doesn't let any drafts in. The doors have Velcro on them, so you can flip them open, stick them on the outside, and keep them open if you like. All 4 sides have a window, a loop, and a pocket. 2 of the sides have an extra loop up here on top, so you could use that for additional anchoring, or you could hang something from there. And then there's a large skirt around the outside, so that's for kicking snow onto. That's great for anchoring your shack down a little bit better and keeping those cold drafts from stealing your heat. Now let's take a look inside. Starting at the ceiling, we've got a nice dark colored ceiling, so it absorbs a little bit of extra heat. We've got 2 large mesh pockets hanging from the ceiling, so you can keep things up here that you want to be as dry and warm as possible. There's one of those on each side. Then you've got your air vents with Velcro, one of those on each of 2 sides. Windows, there's one on each side, and then there's also 4 of these mesh pockets at the bottom of the shack as well. The last thing on the inside is additional anchoring straps. So if you wanted to throw some anchors into the interior of the shack, you can do that by placing an anchor through this metal grommet and then just anchoring it right down into here. You can see there's a lot of room inside the shack here. I'm set up right now with just me, but you can comfortably fit 3 anglers in here. 4 is pushing it. It starts to get a little bit cramped at that point. I also could have bought a flip over shack, but those tend to get really heavy really fast. And I also don't go ice fishing a lot by myself, especially when it's really cold outside. If I'm going to use a shack, it's probably going to be where I'm taking the whole family out and trying to keep everybody warm. For me, the pop-up hub style shelter made more sense. So why did I pick the Clam C560 anyway? I'm not being paid by Clam or anybody else to make this review. I'm sure that Clam and Eskimo and Otter and other brands make perfectly good shacks, but I have an ice armor suit which is made by Clam, and I've been really pleased with that. So I went to Clam's website when I was looking for a shack, and I started looking at Clam's products. I also looked at some other ones as well, and for the price and the features, I felt that this C560 was a good choice for me. It fits my whole family of 4 inside. It's got the insulated fabric, so it keeps the noise out and it keeps the heat in. It also keeps the condensation down on the inside. If you don't have insulated walls, you'll have condensation dripping on you and your stuff, which is really annoying. I also like that I can stand up in the middle, and I can stand up in almost the entire shack. I have to get within about a 1.5 feet from any wall before my head will actually touch the ceiling. So I can really walk around in the shack. Overall, it's a great shack. I'm really happy with it, and let's take a look at how easy it is to take down and pack up. Alright, I pulled out the anchor, and I also brushed off most of the snow from the skirt. You don't want to bundle up a bunch of snow into your shack. So I cleared that off, and now I'm going to close the door most of the way so air can still get out, but it's mostly closed, and now I can start breaking it down. So that actually took about 2.5 minutes to pack up, and most of that time was just shoving it back in the bag. Thankfully, this does have an oversized bag with it, so if the shack is really cold and stiff and frozen up with ice, there's still enough room to put it in the bag. So thanks to Clam for providing an oversized bag. Overall, the C560 is a really nice ice shack. I hope this was a helpful review. We'll catch you next time.